Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Mandy, and welcome to my channel, Homegrown and Handmade. Thank you for those of you who are joining me for the first time, and thank you for those of you who have come back. I deeply apologize. I posted a video Friday morning to get comments that it had no sound, and it was, had no sound. I have no idea why. That same morning, I accidentally, on the same computer, permanently deleted my son's newborn pictures. Thankfully, we have a thumb drive with them on backed up, but needless to say, I almost threw my computer across the room. My husband works in IT computer security stuff, so I called him on the phone and I was just irritated, and he got the brunt of it. Unfortunately, I wasn't mad at him. I was just venting to him. So that's how my day went yesterday with technology. So here we are. This is attempt number 2. If this doesn't go well, honestly, I'm probably just going to give up. Not really, but it will probably be a couple weeks before I try again. So welcome. Thank you for coming to my channel. If you watched my last video, you know that this is the first time I've posted in a while. My last video was the first time I posted in a while because I have a newborn. And I was just very, very touched with those of you who commented that said welcome back and that you missed the videos. It just it gave me all the good feelings inside. So thank you for those of you who commented last week. I am going to try to start being more regular. So I talked last time about doing a live Facebook video on Friday mornings before I get to work so early. I do not expect you guys to tune in live because most of you are not free at 7:30 on a Friday morning. But I was going to try my hand at seeing how easy it is to do that and to just it automatically upload. And so then that kind of cuts down on the time that it takes to make a Flosstube with me having a newborn and still wanting to get as much stitchy time in as I can. So we might try that next Friday. We will see. Please don't tune in if it's live. It's going to probably be a disaster, and I don't really want you to witness that. So it's just going to be me playing around with things. I'm also going to try to start having more structure to my videos. I like structure. And so I'm going to kind of try to follow the same format every time from here on out. It might change if I feel like something's going well or not going well. So you can kind of have an idea of what to expect. So the first thing that I'll kind of do is life updates, and life updates these days are mostly baby updates. So baby James had his 4-month appointment on Monday. And since his 2-month appointment, we have been having some weight issues. So he was born small. So he was 6 pounds, 4 ounces when he was born. And I think he was in the 10th percentile. And then he dropped the kind of normal newborn weight that you drop when you're breastfeeding. And so he dropped to the 5th percentile. And then he was doing good. And then at his 2-month visit, he dropped to the less than 3rd percentile for weight, even though he was eating well, all that good stuff. Again, I was breastfeeding, so I have no idea how much intake he was actually getting. So at that appointment, we went to a lactation consultant. He had a tongue tie that was not allowing him to extract milk properly. So we got that fixed, hoping that would fix the problem. And then I went to see my primary too to make sure that I was okay. And that was all fine. And we started doing 1 bottle of formula a day to try to plump him up a little bit. So then if you watched my last video, you know that my sweet baby got RSV. And that was rough, y'all, rough. Yeah. Danny from Love and Stitching can attest. She commented that she had a 2-month-old that had it. And whew, so he lost weight with that. Normally, that's to be expected. So then, and he had like a couple colds after that. So we are gaining weight, but we are still at the less than 3rd percentile. And our pediatrician wants us to be on the 5th percentile curve. So we bumped up his formula, all that good stuff. At his 4-month visit on Monday, he had gained weight. He was on his curve, but he hadn't jumped up to the 5th percentile curve. So he had some blood work done, and that was super exciting for me. Postpartum me is very, very emotional. Thankfully, my husband was there for that. So I stepped out to go to the restroom while my husband stayed with him while he got his lab work done. I did not spend long enough in the restroom because as I was walking back, they actually stuck him and I got to hear the beautiful sounds of my baby screaming in pain. So I was just standing in the hallway bawling. And so then that was over and I went in and I was with him for his shots. He got his 4-month shots too. So it was a rough day for little man. Thankfully that afternoon, he was pretty good. He had a rough night or two to be expected. So all the blood work turned out good, which is wonderful. And the last thing that we have to do is get him tested for cystic fibrosis. That's another reason that they can have slow weight gain. So that's coming up in a couple of weeks. And I have peace about it. Whatever happens will happen. No one, of course, wants their baby to be sick or have anything. But I'm just trusting the Lord, and it's all going to be fine. So we are just soaking up newborn stuff or infant stuff. He's an infant now. He's 4 months. He's sweet. He's precious. He's laughing and smiling and rolling, and every day it's just so much fun to be with him. So that is the baby update, and I will let you guys know once we do that CF test, kind of how that turns out. So next I'm going to go into FFOs. I don't have any FFOs for y'all, but I did try my hardest to have one and it just did not work out. So if you remember last time, or my last video, I finished the Quilter's Cottage by Lori Holt. And I want to hang this up in my sewing room in a corner over here that you can't see. And so I was just going to do a classic frame finish for this. I've never actually framed a piece of cross stitch before. So this is the frame. It's just a Michael's frame. And wouldn't you know, when I went to finish this beauty, that it did not fit in the frame and that what I thought I measured right, I did not. So I was not deterred. I said, okay, well, if that's not going to work, let me frame this other piece that I finished last week, the Chalk Talk by Hands On Design. So I was going to put this in the frame. It did not fit either. So I was still not deterred. Obviously, at some point I was deterred because there is nothing in this frame. And I grabbed my box of cross stitch that is done, but not FFO'd. Yikes. There's a lot in there. As you can tell, FFO is not my favorite part of the process, or it's the part that I struggle with the most, I should say. So yeah, I dug through that, couldn't find anything. So here we are, no FFO. And that's okay. For this frame, I know I mentioned this last time, but Hands On Design has come out with a stitchy Chalk Talk pattern for market, and it is gorgeous. I stitched the fall Chalk Talk on 14 count Aida, so I'm going to get some 16 count black Aida and stitch it on that, and that should fit in the frame. I'm actually going to measure it before to triple check that it will, and then I'll be able to hang that up in my sewing room as well. So I am so excited to get that pattern. It is so cute. And then I did want to, since I don't have an FFO for y'all, I did want to show a previous finish as I'm packing up my summer decorations and preparing for fall. So this is probably one of my favorite finishes that I've done. I did it a couple of years ago, but this is Lizzie Kate's summer string. So this is in like a little basket that I got from Joann's several years ago, and this is just attached with magnets. And then on the inside, there's little baskets. And so these come out and you can just fill them with whatever you want to. And so I have stuff to fill for Halloween and Christmas and such, and it stays in my dining room. So I will show y'all after I change it out what it looks like, but I love that finish. I think it's so cute. So that is my FFO and previous finish. Finishes for this week, I have none, which is okay. I had 2 finishes last week, which is quite impressive for me. Hopefully I'll have a finish for y'all next week. I'm gonna try. So that kind of concludes the the finishes and FFO section. So now I'm going to talk about a featured Flosstube, and this I'm just going to honestly talk about a video this week that I liked a lot that I watched. It might be the same Flosstube multiple times, that's okay. But the one I want to talk about this week is Liz Matthews. So most of y'all probably know Hello from Liz Matthews. I watched her video with her mom, I believe, Kathy Barrick, on their releases that they're going to do for market. And holy moly, they are gorgeous. Gorgeous. She has a 12 Days of Christmas series. And at first, I was like, oh, they're pretty, but I don't know, like 12 days is a lot of stitching, and they're bigger pieces. They're not necessarily the smallest designs in the world. And then after I saw her 5th Day of Christmas one, I was like, okay, it's going to happen at some point. Let's just jump in and do it now. Beautiful. So I want to get that pattern. I'm probably going to do the tree finish that she has because it's less stitching. I haven't decided yet though. So I'm probably going to get that one. She has this beautiful fall bird. I don't know the name of it. It's a fall bluebird pattern. I love birds. I am a very, very amateur bird watcher. I started bird watching in December. So I love birds. So that's a beautiful pattern. And then she has this rainbow pattern, which I think is gorgeous. And it's very easily customizable to colors that you like. And so I'm most likely going to do that and save it potentially for if I ever have another baby or adopt or foster, and then adopt a little girl. So I'm going to save it for that if that happens. So that's my featured Flosstube. If you haven't seen her video, go check it out and just drool over all of the beautiful designs that they are going to release at market, which is this weekend. So that is featured Flosstube. So now I will hop into whips. So last weekend we went to visit my in-laws. And so anytime we go visit my in-laws or we have family that come to visit, I love it because I get a little bit more stitching time than I normally do because they take the baby and they enjoy the baby while I enjoy some mommy time. So this, I worked on the flea market so long, and this is how far I've gotten. This past weekend, I worked on this flower and this flower down in here. The stem of this blue one up here is the wrong color. I haven't decided if I'm going to change it or not. It should be the darkest green that there is, but that's how far I've gotten on that. And I'm super excited to finish this. I am going to frame this one as well and have just sort of a gallery wall in my sewing room with all the framed cross stitch pieces that I want to leave up permanently. So that is going to be part of that collection. So that's one whip. The other whip I have is Holly and Heart by Lizzie Kate. It's a Christmas pattern. My mom and my sister and I are doing this sew along together, and we're supposed to stitch one. There's 3 patterns. We're supposed to stitch one every 2 months. Haha, I am, of course, behind. So I'm still on part 1, and we should be in part 2 now. But I worked on that, and I did this green at the bottom. I started to fill that in. And this green is Weeks Dye Works Artichoke, and I absolutely love it. So this is where I am with that. Hopefully part 2 will go by quicker because it's a lot of words, which I like words. And then the next one is a new start because everyone needs a new start. And the pattern is Happy Fall, Y'all by Little Stitch Girl. My sister got me this pattern several years ago for my birthday, and I want to finish it on wall hanging that I'm going to just change out for the seasons. I have the July snapshots pattern for July, and then I'm going to do this for kind of fallish. I don't really do Thanksgiving, so I'm going to put it up for fall and Thanksgiving and then change it out just for Halloween. So this is a new start, y'all. Remember that. Remember that I have a 4-month-old and a full-time job. Look how pretty. Ooh, I love it. It's going pretty fast for something that's straight filling. I think my favorite part about this piece is that once you outline the black and do the gray squares, because the gray squares, I mean, they all connect. You don't even need to look at the pattern. It's so, so easy. And then once the gray squares, I'm working on filling in the white and the black. And so I'm really hoping that I might have this done next week. Don't hold me to that because things happen. So that is my next whip. My third whip, when we get to haul, I'll talk about sulky threads, but I got some sulky threads to try. And so I chose this Jardin Privet pattern. I figured it would be a great one to try with sulkies because there are just a few colors. There's 6 colors in this whole pattern. And so I got a sampler pack of sulkies and I thought, well, hey, I can just try it with this pattern. So I had already picked out my fabric that I wanted, and I've had this with this pattern for a while. And so with the sulky threads, the sampler pack that I got came with what I thought was black. And so I started stitching the A. This color is not black. This color is called almost black, and almost black is brown. I don't know if you can tell in this picture, but I ended up getting black, actual black. And I mean, this is vastly different colors, if you can tell. I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but this one is much more brown than this one. So I saw that it was pretty brown, so I quit stitching on the A, and then I got some black, and that just came in yesterday. So I haven't started restitching it yet or anything like that. So I started with that A right there. And then whenever I realized that that wasn't going to go well, I flipped to doing the white because white is white. This actually shows up pretty good on camera. In real life, this white does not pop well with this fabric color. And I did a poll on Instagram about if the fabric was too light, and 99% of people said yes. So thankfully, I didn't get too far on this. So this whole thing is going to be ripped out, and I am going to start this pattern on a different fabric. I might look at doing gray. I don't know what y'all would think, but I think this on gray, if it's a darker gray, might look pretty good. We'll see. And then my last whip is my Christmas stocking that I'm stitching for my son. So this is what the pattern looks like. What I did this week is the scariest part of stockings to me, and that is the name. So I spent, because you have to chart out the name. So I spent time this week working on charting out the name, and then I actually got it stitched, which I'm so excited about. So this is what it looks like. And I just think it's beautiful. It looks so good from a distance. Like, it just looks amazing to me from a distance. I'm so happy I changed this pattern. I was stitching a different stocking for him and I wasn't loving it. And so my sister inspired me to change to one that I like. So you can see his name. It's going to probably be backwards, but it's James. And then I've even started doing some of the background up here in the corner. So I have full confidence that I will finish this in time for Christmas this year, which I'm so excited that it's going to be ready for his first Christmas. So those are all of my whips. I am going to jump into haul now, and I have quite a bit of haul, which is exciting. So I placed an order with Fat Quarter Shop, mostly because I wanted to try some sulky threads. So I got some of their sampler packs, because that's just the best way to try if you don't have a specific pattern in mind. Just kind of start a little small collection. And they're pretty inexpensive, guys. I think one spool is $169 on Sulky's website, which is not bad. So I got them. I decided to, for the moment, just put them in this little jar. I'm going to have to size up because I bought some more. So these are all my sulky threads. I mentioned that the whole almost black problem. So I saw this week on Sulky's website, they had free shipping. So I actually went ahead and ordered a few more colors that are in that jar. I ordered the black, and then I ordered kind of a more rustic orange color because I didn't like, it was a bright orange that came in the sampler pack. So I wanted this kind of duskier orange for that Halloween pattern. Oh, there's a hummingbird. So I got the sulky threads. I have not used them long enough to be able to give you an honest opinion as to whether or not I like them or not. So I do, and I will be honest, I will hopefully stitch with them more this week, depending on how much time I have, and let you guys know my thoughts on them. So that is some of my haul. When I placed my order with Fat Quarter Shop, I got this Heart and Hand pattern, our Spring Bloom. It was their flash sale, and I love it. Love it. And then I like the summer one. I like all of them, but the summer one is on the back. So I plan on getting the summer one as well. So that is haul number 2. And then back when my son was a newborn, I had a lot of family coming in, including my mom and my sister, both of whom cross stitch. So they always want to go to the local cross stitch shop that we have in town whenever they're here. So we did, and I got some stuff I don't think I showed y'all in a previous video. But this is one thing I got. It's Snow Time by Cottage Garden samplings. And I just thought this little snowman was adorable. I got some of the threads to go with it as well. My sister helped me pick out some colors for that. So I got that little guy. And then I also got George Decorates for Martha by Plum Street Samplers. And I guess it's in the same family, but I did a 4th of July one with George and Martha, and I absolutely love it. So I actually forgot about this pattern until I was cleaning up my sewing room, and I was like, oh, I need to start that too. Too many starts, not enough time. I don't know how we do this. So that is part of my haul. And then I also on flash sale with Fat Quarter Shop were these little pins, just pins by the Button Company, I think it is. Anyways, I think they're super cute. I have never used pins before, so why not get them on sale and have them on hand just to try and see if I like them. So those will hang out with me until I have a good finish for them. And then I have one more piece of haul from Fat Quarter Shop, but I did want to show y'all, I won a giveaway from Moonlight Quilters. So Moonlight Quilters, oh, that's a better, there you go. So I want a giveaway from them on Instagram, so go check them out. And they sent me this beautiful postcard. That other thing that I showed you is a bookmark, which who doesn't need bookmarks? I am, please don't judge me. I am of the dog ear school. So I think with readers, there are 2 schools of people who dog ear books and people who not only don't dog ear books, but my sister is one of these people, but comes at you if you dog ear the books. And she always fusses at me if she sees me dog earing books. So it's always good to have bookmarks nearby in the event that my sister is near and I don't want her catching me dog earing books. But I think with books, you gotta love them. And for me, like, I don't know, it's just how I love on my books. They're used. I like books to look used because if not, I mean, it means you're not reading them. And so anyways, please don't judge me if you're of the school that thinks that I need to have all my books taken away from me. They also gave me this quilt ruler, which you can always use a quilt ruler. And then this charm pack. This is Ruby Star Slipper, or Ruby Star Society, sorry. And these are just beautiful fabrics. I like how muted and earthy the colors are. So I'm excited to put that in my stack. If you can see behind me, almost all of these are charm packs. So I have quite a collection of them. So that is most of my haul. Plans. So plans, my plan number one is to finish hopefully that pumpkin and get it FFO'd properly. I was going to run to the store and grab a different frame for the quilter cabin. And I'm probably going to frame the chalk talk too, but I just haven't had time to do that. I was going to go after work this week and then realized that my wallet was in the diaper bag. So that didn't happen. I do want to start on the October snapshot so I could get that ready and have that hung up. These stitch pretty quickly, in my opinion. There are quite a few colors for this small of a pattern, so there's a lot of color changes, but the 4th of July one stitched up quite quickly. Oh, there's a bee outside. I love bees. I showed y'all this last time, I belong to the Cross Stitch Nation. And so I might have a start on that. I've been working on picking out some of my colors for that. So here are just a few of the colors that I have picked out for that. I'm not in my sewing room. I don't have a lot of red, and you can see kind of the border calls for a red, and there's a red dress. And so I haven't yet decided what color I want to change it to. I don't know if I want to use a darker pink or what, but if you have any suggestions, let me know. So those are my plans, and of course to work on that pumpkin and my stocking. I probably will not work much on the flea market flowers or the Christmas one for a little bit. And then I have some quilty plans, which is a first. I haven't quilted in a while. So I am going to start working on this pattern. My sister-in-law is pregnant, and I made my little nephew, her firstborn, a quilt when he was born, of course. And so I need to make one for my newest nephew. She actually told me the date that she's going to be induced, and so I have not that long to work on this. His colors for his room are going to be green. And so I had a hard time finding fabric that I liked for this pattern, and just period for a little boy's quilt. So I finally did find some. This is kind of like a bluish green. This is my favorite. And then we have some little animals. And then these two are green. And then some dark blue. And the backing fabric is going to be green. So I'll make sure that that's green. And so my last piece of haul from Fat Quarter Shop is just some of the background fabric that I needed to start working on this quilt. My in-laws were supposed to come up today so we could have a little bit of time, or I would have a little bit of time to start on that quilt. They are not coming up anymore, which in retrospect is good because my family lives in New Orleans. And if you might not know, if you're not in the South, but we have a fun hurricane headed our way tomorrow night. History of hurricanes in my area is that they are typically not as bad as predicted, but the hard part is you just never know. And with Katrina, the hurricane itself wasn't bad. It was the flooding. But you never know. So I think right now it's predicted to be a category 4 out of 5, 5 being the worst. And so it's always better to be safe than sorry. So I actually have family driving up right now to come stay with us because we live in North Louisiana. So they will be here. So maybe I will get some time to work on that quilt. We will see. So those are my plans and my quilty plans. And so that's almost all I have for you guys. The last thing I wanted to do was to have a Mandy moment. We'll see how well this works. It might be a stupid idea, but I just printed off a bunch of questions, just kind of get to know you questions. And so I'm just going to answer 1 or 2 every week. I'll just randomly pick them. They're in number order. So we will go with let's do what's today's date? The 28th. So we will do question number 28. So question number 28, do you have a favorite type of exercise? I do. I wish it was running because running is free. And who doesn't like something that's free? My favorite exercise is actually bar. So before I was pregnant and had James, I did pure bar a couple times a week. It's not the cheapest exercise in the world. Sorry about that. It's not the cheapest exercise in the world, but I truly, truly love it. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know if it's the people, the community, the exercise itself is not, it's not cardio. There is one type that's cardio that I never got the guts to do because it's intense. But it's not cardio, but it's focusing on just small movements, but very, very heavy on core strength and such. I'll tell you that I got triceps from doing visible triceps from doing pure bar. I've never had visible triceps in my life. So I love pure bar. I have not gotten back to it yet, just with the kiddo and such, but I think I'm going to, out of necessity, have to get into running / walking just because it's free. And daycare is not cheap, y'all, if you use daycare. And it's easy, and I just feel guilty, like I don't want to go exercise and I miss out on that time with James because I have other things I want to do, like stitching. And so I think what my plan is going to be, once it's cooler, it's still kind of hot here in the South, and by kind of hot, I mean we call going outside taking a steam shower with God. And so once it gets a little bit cooler, I think I'm going to start doing at least daily walks with James, hopefully. And then once he gets a little bit older and I can, maybe look at getting a jogging stroller off of like Marketplace or something and working on maybe jogging a little bit with him. So we will see. So that's Mandy's moment for the day, which is good timing because my kiddo is waking up from his nap. So thank you guys for tuning in. Fingers crossed this video actually works, and I will see y'all next week. Thank you and have a good day.